Okay, welcome to Speaking of Zane, everybody. After a few weeks hiatus, I think this is the first Speaking of Zane since before Thanksgiving, if I recall. But we had some mitigating circumstances, um, uh, most of which was out of town travel to the UK for a couple of weeks, and now I am back. So a couple of weeks in London, and then a quick trip to St. Louis, and now I am settled in here at the house for the holidays, and don't plan on going anywhere for some number of weeks. We'll see how things develop in the new year. I do have a lot of travel planned already in the new year, but not all of it is known at this time. But we'll see how it goes. But good to have you all in here for the 303rd edition of Speaking of Zane. Last weekend, when I made it back from London on the Saturday, late in the day, so I didn't get to go to Georgia National and do the Wreaths Across America. But I know that there were folks that placed wreaths all across the country. I kept track of quite a few from work. We had folks. Jefferson Barracks, Arlington, Ohio, Nebraska, Tennessee, all over the place, placing wreaths on December the 14th. And hopefully I'll be able to go out. I don't know what the date is yet. I'll have to look at their Facebook page, but all of those wreaths have to be picked up at some point, and that's usually done a couple of weeks into January. And I've gone out quite a few times to help with that. I'll try to do that again. Sometimes it's in the middle of the week. It really does vary on the pickup, um, but I'll keep my eyes open for that. Well, we've had some birthdays and have some upcoming birthdays in the month of December in the McDonald household. Um, our grandson Everett, who's the son of our daughter Hannah, who's an Army vet. He had his eighth birthday, 8 years old, and his cousin, our granddaughter Zaylee, Tyler's daughter, is what Lori will tell me in the chat. Because look, so here's I was telling somebody this at work the other day. I don't know that I can remember any of the grandkids' actual birth dates. I can barely remember the kids' birthdays. But Lori, and the reason I don't is because I know that Lori does, and she knows the dates, the days of the weeks, the times of the day, all of that stuff. And I'm glad because that means I don't have to remember all that. But I do know that Zaylee was born just a couple of weeks after Everett, so they're both 8 years old now. And Zaylee, of course, lives down in Savannah, Georgia. And let's see, yesterday would have been Tyler's 39th birthday. Incredible to think, 39. But Tyler would have been 39 years old. He was our very first. He was born when we were stationed at Mildenhall. Lori was still in the Air Force. I was in the Air Force. And Tyler was born at Lincoln Heath. Of course, this is pre-internet, pre-cell phones, all of that stuff. So we had to figure all that stuff out on our own. We did take a Lamaze class. If you guys remember Lamaze, we took a Lamaze class, which I think helped. It might have helped me more than it helped Lori with the where you pace your breathing and all of that stuff. But Lori had of course, Tyler was 10 and a half pounds. Lori had a 53-hour, was it Lori? 53-hour labor. It went from like a Thursday into a Saturday morning. I think he was born Saturday morning at like 10:30, something like that. But anyway, it was quite an experience. It was life-changing for sure. Well, let me see. I got a bunch of people in the chat here have joined us. My dad's in there from cold South Georgia. Yeah, it's cold everywhere right now. Matt Aaron is in there from Michigan. I know it's cold up there. Ken, oh, hey, Ken, we see you. Ken says he's going to miss tonight. Um, okay, okay, good. I'll annotate that, Ken, on my list, and wishing you a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next Sunday night. Carl and Peggy's in there. Jimbo Miller's in there. Lori is in there. Brenda Lusk is in there. Hey, Brenda. Jim says it was 8 degrees in Omaha. Yeah, my daughter Charlotte, she said it was like, what'd she say? It was 20 or so in Chicago this morning. Okay, Lori, see, this is where Lori comes in. She knows these things. Exactly 14 days apart. They were exactly 2 weeks apart, those two. I love them both. 8 years old. Steve Shirley's in there. Hey, Steve. Yep, so we had Everett Zaley, Tyler, um, I was talking about. He was our first, and Lori was, let's see, he was born 4 days before Christmas, and it was our second Christmas in England, because I think our first Christmas we were there in '84. We didn't have any kids yet, so '85 comes around. We had Tyler just before Christmas. And then coming up on the 29th, so 4 days after Christmas, would be Zane's birthday. And Zane would be 35 this year. Lori, check me if I got that right. I'm pretty sure I did. But he was born in 1989. And he was also 10 and a half pounds. They were two big boys. And I think the delivery was a little better with Zane, although the doc had to reach in there with some post hole diggers. I mean, some what do you call those? What do you call them, Maury? Tongs or something to pull his big head out of there. But Zane would be 35 on the 29th, which is, what is the 29th? I don't have my calendar up. And let's see, my mom's birthday, forceps. Yeah, thank you, Lori. Post hole diggers is probably what they should use. But yes, Lori reminds me, my mom's birthday is the day after Christmas. That's always been something special about her. The day after Christmas, she would be 80 this year. Unfortunately, we lost her last year, but she would be 80. She was born in December 26, 1944. And then I don't see Daryl in here tonight, and that's probably because he's back in the hospital. Daryl has had time since he had his knee surgery, knee replacement, and he's had a lot of ancillary complications from that. He's been back and forth in the hospital a couple of times. I was in St. Louis this week, and I was hoping that I had enough of a window that I was going to be able to go pay him a visit. It just did not work out. But he and I have chatted. And he does a great job of updating his status and stuff on Facebook. But I haven't seen from him in the last day or two. But wishing him the best. I hope he can get home before Christmas. I think he made it home for Thanksgiving, and I'm hoping he makes it home for Christmas. That's Daryl, who I served with in the Air Force. And then I mentioned our daughter Charlotte. She came home for Thanksgiving, and she's also coming home for Christmas. In fact, when I'm done here with speaking to Zane, I'll be driving down to the airport to pick her up. Her flight's been delayed a couple of times today, and she's not going to be landing in Atlanta till 11 o'clock. So it's an hour drive from here. So I'll drive down, pick her up, drive back. So we'll be back here at the house probably by midnight. And I'm not sure how long she's going to be here on this visit. She's pretty flexible, and she can pretty much work from anywhere, except when she has to travel, like to DC, to the FBI, or some other agency. But it'll be good to have her home. I think we are going to my daughter Hannah's house for Christmas Eve, which would be fun. And let's see, since we were together last, I had this on my notes for last week. Navy beat Army, which was a surprise because Army had a much better team this year. Navy ends up beating Army. But all the bowl games are beginning to shape up. If you're a college football fan, I watched a couple of the games last night: Tennessee, Ohio State, and Texas and Clemson, and they'll be moving on to the next round. And a lot of the bowls are set, and of course, a lot of them aren't quite set yet. But fun time of year if you're a college football fan. All right, well, let's see what else we've got here this week in military history. I might be missing some items here. If I do, somebody pipe in the chat there and help me out. But hat of the week, I almost missed that. Hat of the week, hat of the week, hat of the week always has something to do with what the heck is going on around here at the fabulous McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum. And I'm just wearing my United Airlines hat because I'm following United Airlines flight. Let's see. 2113 tonight on Flight Tracker. And that's Charlotte's flight. And it looks like they're scheduled to land here at 10:59. So she should be departing here at about 9:05 Eastern. So I'll keep an eye on that. And I'll know, hopefully the traffic will be okay this time of the evening. And let's see, we've had some notable this week in military history items over the last few weeks. Most notably, we missed this, was December the 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. And if you follow Ken, you know that, and in previous years, we've highlighted this on Speaking of Zane, but his father was a Pearl Harbor survivor. His father had a firsthand account of the activities of that day. And Ken, every year, to honor his father, shares those firsthand accounts. And he did it again this year on Facebook. And if you follow Ken, you can go back and look there. But just fascinating, the firsthand accounts that his father was able to share with him over the years. And now he carries that on. But his father and his mother both rest at Arlington National Cemetery there near D.C. There's Matt Mary in there. Hey, Aunt Mary. And let's see, we had also had the National Guard birthday. I forget the exact date that was. It's early in December, but the National Guard's older than the Army because we had a National Guard before we actually had a country, which is kind of cool. But so the National Guard birthday came along there. A couple of other dates I always call out in December. These were sort of life-changing dates for Lori and I, our family. On December the 14th of 2009, we said goodbye to Zane on his way to a combat tour in Iraq. And wow, what an interesting day that was, to go to his unit and watch them pack up all the bags and all the goodbyes. And we were all there, and he wasn't but 17, I think. I don't even know if he turned 18 yet. Maybe he was 18. He turned 19 over there. But it was just a most interesting experience, and got some good pictures, and then to have him over there that whole next year, and then he returned on December the 13th of 2010, so right at 1 year there in Iraq. And of course we know that his transition was not the best, and unfortunately series of events from that point forward just spiraled into the situation that transpired with him. It's a sad story for sure, and why we're here today talking about him speaking his name, and have been doing so for um, uh, coming up on 9 years now in January. And then we just had a birthday on Friday, another branch of the service. This is our youngest branch. It was born December 20th, 2019, and that's the United States Space Force. I will admit to you that I'm still not 100% sure what the Space Force does, and I was never 100% sure that their activities warranted an entire separate branch. It seemed like a multi-service effort was probably the way to go about it, but I don't. What do I know? But I do know they've been in existence now for 5 years, and I really don't know what they do every day. I know they track satellites. They're all, anything to do with space, obviously, but it is a little bit of a mystery to me. Okay, let's see. Did I miss anybody in the chat? Oh, Steve Shirley's in there. Hey, Steve. If I didn't say hi, good to see you. Wishing you and Kathy a very Merry Christmas. Yeah, there you go, Steve. Yeah, 2021 December. Yeah, yeah. Um, there in Bastogne. Yeah, Steve knows his history there. Steve and Kathy have been through Europe quite a lot in recent years. Okay, well, let's see. Moving on. Here's what I know about the Veteran Cemetery Challenge. I know that Daryl's daughter, on his behalf, went to Jefferson Barracks since we last met. I know my dad and my sister make visits regularly to Evergreen, so I always count some in there. And then I know that Amy visited our colleague Roy, her husband, at Omaha National, and our colleague Todd as well. And Ken mentioned, I'm going to get let's see, Ken mentioned he went to Mount Peace Cemetery in St. Cloud where they did, that may be a new one for us, Ken, where they did place wreaths as well. They don't just place, by the way, at national cemeteries. There are other cemeteries that aren't federal national cemeteries where Wreaths Across America is in effect, and that's one of them there. Mount Peace. Let me jot that down real quick. Ken had to go. Mount Peace Cemetery there in where do you say that was? St. Cloud, Florida. Very good. So we can add that one. So if I add up what I know about, 1, 2, 13, I'm going to say 13. One of those is going to be new. Thanks to Ken. If I add 13. Sometimes I'm slow at my arithmetic here, but I think I've got it right. Yeah. So 1,349 visits that we've made as a team. And then if we move on to the Think of That challenge, now I had, traveling through the airport, especially around the holidays, you see a lot of service members going around. Now, most of them are traveling in fatigues or what do we call them these days? I wish they'd travel in dress, service dress. But anyway, so I had several of those in the airport. And then I was in St. Louis this week. I had 4 at work. and then had two in the UK. There's a Navy veteran over there called Glenn, who's a Royal Navy veteran, and every time I'm over there, I get a chance to see him. And then there's a young lady called Caitlin, who is in the Royal Air Force Reserve that works for us. And so I got a chance to say hello to them, thank them for their service. So if I add all of that up, I'm going to say it's 8, and we're up to 3,186 times that one of the people in this relatively small group of patriots has acknowledged a service member, first responder, veteran, and said, "Hey, I appreciate you," or engaged in a conversation. And we track that, and we've been doing it for quite some time now, to the tune of 3,186 times. So pretty good, pretty good. What's up there, Stony? All the way back. Well, that's been many, many, many years since you and I interacted back in the Looking Glass days. But some of your colleagues here, you Steve Shirley and Amy Walton. Walton is often here. But appreciate you stopping by. We do this every week. We've been doing it for, gosh, what did I say? We've been doing this since August of 2018. We lost a son of ours, Stony, that was an Army veteran and unfortunately spiraled out of control after he left the service, got back from a combat tour in Iraq. And almost 9 years ago now, we lost him, and we couldn't bear the thought of him being forgotten. So I jumped on Facebook and just started talking about him. And it all came out of that. You've heard that phrase, they say a person dies twice, once when they take their last breath, and then again when their name is no longer spoken. And it just seemed too final for us. So now we do Speaking of Zane, and we talk about him. And at least while we're still here on Earth, his name will continue to be spoken, and he won't be forgotten. And it's kind of grown into lots of other things we do. You heard we visit veteran cemeteries, and we thank veterans, and we track all that, capture all that, share that information. We talk about a lot of military matters and stuff like that about once a week, every Sunday night, except for the last 3, because I've been on the road. And usually if I'm on the road, I'm able to do it okay. But when I go to Europe, it's a little bit difficult because it's the middle of the night. So we skipped a few weeks there, but that's the way it goes. All right, well, let's see what else we got here. Really nothing new on the organization front, all the normal stuff. I mentioned the Reach Across America. We'll be picking up Reach in January. That'll probably be the next thing. I did see there were a couple of items in the news over this last week, aviation related, both of them. There was a military helicopter. They did not say what branch in the article I read. It may be known now, but I'm not sure. The military helicopter made an emergency landing at Camp Pendleton, so I have to believe it was Marine Corps on Friday. And the crew, they said, was able to escape. They didn't even identify which type of helicopter, but the crew was able to escape before the helicopter caught on fire. And I looked to try to see if there was any update, and I couldn't. But maybe that'll come back up on a news feed or something. But thank goodness that the crew was okay. Likewise, with the crew of a Navy FA-18, which was shot down by the Navy, the USS Gettysburg. I don't know if it's a guided missile frigate or something with missiles, because it has missiles, because it shot one at its own. It shot one at an F-18, and fortunately, the 2 crew members in the F-18 ejected. And as far as I know, they're okay. I'll be watching for updates on that one as well. One of those friendly fire accidents. I'm sure there will be some post-mortem done on that. That should never happen, but it does. It does. Things get cloudy in combat, I'm sure, but All right. Well, I think unless anybody has anything else I have left out or forgotten, I think we'll wrap it up, and I'll get ready to head to the airport here pretty soon. Well, hey Doc, there's my buddy JT. Good to see you in there. Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas as well this coming week. But appreciate everybody stopping by. Um, for those of you that are regulars on Sunday night, and for those of you that stop by periodically, thank you for that. It's good to be heard, and I appreciate you guys showing up. And I think Lori gave a shout out to. There's John, right? Eval, right there. Okay, John, I see your name now. I saw Lori chatting with you, but I didn't see your name in there. But good to see you in there. It's one of Zane's good Army buddies, John Eval. John, I don't know if you noticed, but one of your pals is in here, Matt Aaron. If you want to say hi there, Matt's a regular. But yeah, Johnny, hope you're doing well up there in, remind me, New Hampshire? Lori, help me. I know you moved from the warmth of the Gulf Coast up to the Northeast. I think it's New Hampshire, but I don't recall. But good to have you all in here. Wishing you all a very Merry Christmas on Wednesday, all the activities that you'll have this week, and a Happy New Year. We'll plan to do Speaking of Zane next Sunday night, which will be what? Yeah, we won't even be to New Year yet, so that'll be great. Yeah, New Hampshire, Johnny says. So we'll look forward to seeing you all next Sunday night for Speaking of Zane. All right, Steve-O, we'll see you, buddy. Take care. And God bless everybody. Merry Christmas.